Somewhere in a locked government lab, a machine is learning to break every secret you own. It does not look dangerous, but it is quietly rewriting the rules of digital trust. This is the story of the coming quantum cyber war, and why almost nobody is ready. Every bank transfer, every private message, and every military order relies on encryption today. That encryption was built on math, problems computers could never solve in time. Quantum computers threaten to solve those exact problems within minutes instead of centuries. When that happens, the locks protecting global secrets could fall open all at once. Governments already know this moment is coming, and they are racing in silence. Intelligence agencies are not waiting for quantum computers to become fully operational first. They are collecting encrypted data right now and storing it for later decryption. This strategy has a chilling nickname among security experts called harvest, now decrypt later. It means your private data today may be exposed a decade from now. Medical records, financial history, and diplomatic cables are all being quietly stockpiled. Once a working quantum computer arrives, all that stored data becomes readable instantly. This is why the quantum threat is not a distant, abstract science fiction idea. It is an active and ongoing operation happening beneath the surface of daily life. To understand the danger, we first need to understand what makes quantum computers different. Normal computers process information as simple bits that are either 0 or 1. Quantum computers use qubits, which can exist in multiple states at the same time. This strange property called superposition lets quantum machines explore many solutions simultaneously. Another property called entanglement links qubits together across space in powerful ways. Combined, these effects give quantum computers a completely different kind of computational power. For most everyday tasks, quantum computers offer no real advantage over normal machines, but for a narrow set of problems, they are extraordinarily and dangerously fast. Breaking encryption happens to fall directly inside that narrow and dangerous category. Modern encryption relies on the difficulty of factoring extremely large prime numbers quickly. A classical computer would need thousands of years to crack strong encryption keys. In 1994, a mathematician named Peter Shor changed everything forever. He designed an algorithm that lets quantum computers factor numbers exponentially faster. Shor's algorithm turned an impossible mathematical wall into a solvable engineering problem. It proved that with enough qubits, encryption could be broken in mere hours. That single algorithm is now the center of a global technological arms race. Nations understand that whoever masters this first gains extraordinary strategic power. Breaking an adversary's encryption means reading their military plans before they happen. It means intercepting corporate secrets, financial strategies, and diplomatic negotiations at will. Whoever achieves reliable quantum decryption first holds a devastating intelligence advantage. This is why quantum computing has quietly become a matter of national security. The United States, China, and the European Union are pouring billions into research. Private companies like Google, IBM, and startups are also racing toward the same goal. Each new qubit milestone is treated less like science and more like warfare. China has invested heavily in quantum communication and quantum computing infrastructure nationwide. Its scientists have already demonstrated quantum satellite communication, considered nearly unhackable today. The United States responded with its own national quantum initiative and heavy funding. Defense agencies are treating quantum readiness as urgently as they once treated nuclear power. This is not simply a scientific competition anymore between curious researchers and universities. It has become a strategic contest with real consequences for global power balance. Meanwhile, most companies and governments still use encryption that quantum computers could break. Banks, hospitals, power grids, and communication networks all depend on this vulnerable encryption. If a functioning quantum computer arrived tomorrow, chaos could spread within days. Financial systems could freeze as trust and secure transactions instantly collapsed worldwide. Power grids controlled by digital systems could be manipulated or shut down remotely. Military communications thought to be secure could suddenly become fully transparent to enemies. This is the nightmare scenario cybersecurity experts quietly call Q-Day. Q-Day refers to the moment quantum computers can break current encryption standards. Nobody knows exactly when Q-Day will arrive, but most experts expect it soon. Some predict 5 years, while others believe it could take 15 more years. The uncertainty itself is part of what makes this threat so unsettling. Organizations cannot simply wait for a confirmed date to start preparing themselves. By the time Q-Day is publicly announced, it will already be too late. This is why cybersecurity experts are pushing hard for something called post-quantum cryptography. Post-quantum cryptography means new encryption methods designed to resist quantum attacks entirely. These new methods rely on different math problems that quantum computers struggle with. Instead of factoring large numbers, they use complex lattice structures and coding theory. Lattice-based cryptography is currently considered one of the strongest quantum-resistant approaches. It relies on the difficulty of finding specific points within a multidimensional grid. Even a powerful quantum computer finds this particular problem extremely hard to solve. In 2024, the National Institute of Standards and Technology released new standards. These standards give governments and companies a blueprint for quantum-resistant encryption today. Adopting these standards, however, is a massive and painfully slow global undertaking. Every website, every app, and every secure system must eventually be rebuilt. This transition could take a decade or more across every industry worldwide. Meanwhile, the clock toward Q-Day continues ticking whether organizations are ready or not. Some industries are moving faster than others toward quantum-resistant security systems. Financial institutions understand that a single breach could destroy public trust instantly. Major banks have begun quietly testing post-quantum encryption within their internal systems. Healthcare systems are also beginning to recognize the scale of this looming risk. Patient records are deeply personal and permanently damaging, if ever fully exposed. Governments face perhaps the greatest pressure since national security depends on secrecy. A single leaked military secret could shift the balance of global power overnight. Intelligence agencies are already redesigning their networks around quantum-resistant communication standards. Some are even exploring quantum key distribution, which uses physics itself for security. Quantum key distribution detects any attempt to intercept a message during transmission. If someone tries to eavesdrop, the quantum state of the message changes instantly. This built-in alarm system makes quantum key distribution theoretically unhackable by design. However, this technology remains expensive, complex, and difficult to deploy at scale. For now, only the most sensitive government and military networks can afford it. Everyday internet users will likely depend on post-quantum cryptography for years ahead. The real danger lies not in future quantum computers, but in present complacency. Many organizations still believe quantum threats belong to some distant, unrelated future. This false sense of safety is exactly what makes Harvest now attacks so effective. Attackers do not need a finished quantum computer to start stealing your data. They only need patience and the confidence that quantum power is coming eventually. Every unencrypted or weakly encrypted system today is a future target waiting quietly. This means the quantum cyber war has technically already begun without most people noticing. It is not being fought with soldiers, tanks, or dramatic explosions on screens. It is being fought silently through data centers, algorithms, and international research funding. The battlefield stretches from Silicon Valley laboratories to secret facilities in Beijing. Every breakthrough in qubit stability shifts the balance of this invisible war slightly. Every new post-quantum standard represents a small victory for global digital defense. This war has no clear front line and no obvious moment of declaration. That invisibility is precisely what makes it so dangerous and so easy to ignore. People tend to fear threats they can see clearly and understand immediately. A quantum algorithm hidden inside a research paper inspires almost no public fear, yet its consequences could eventually touch nearly every digital system on Earth. Cybersecurity professionals often compare this moment to the early days of nuclear research. Back then, few people understood the coming power of atomic energy either. By the time the world understood, it was already reshaping global politics permanently. Quantum computing could follow a strikingly similar and equally transformative historical path. The difference is that this technology promises benefits alongside its serious dangers. Quantum computers could help design new medicines and revolutionize scientific discovery entirely. They could optimize global logistics and dramatically accelerate climate modeling research efforts. The same power that threatens encryption could also solve humanity's hardest problems. This dual nature makes quantum computing one of the most consequential technologies ever built. Nations are not trying to stop this technology since that path seems impossible. Instead, they are racing to master it before their rivals gain the advantage. This creates a dangerous incentive to prioritize speed over careful long-term safety. A rushed quantum breakthrough without proper safeguards could destabilize global cybersecurity dramatically overnight. Experts warn that international cooperation is essential despite the current competitive atmosphere. Shared standards and transparent research could reduce the risks of sudden quantum shocks. Unfortunately, geopolitical tension often works directly against this kind of open cooperation. Trust between rival nations remains fragile, even during ordinary technological development periods. Quantum computing adds an entirely new layer of suspicion and strategic secrecy. Each nation fears falling behind more than it fears the shared global risk. This fear-driven competition could accelerate dangerous shortcuts in security transition planning. For ordinary individuals, the coming quantum cyber war may feel distant and abstract, yet its effects will eventually touch personal banking, healthcare, and private communication. Passwords, passports, and even digital identities could theoretically be compromised in the future. This is why experts encourage individuals to support stronger security practices today. Using updated software enabling multi-factor authentication and staying informed all genuinely help. Awareness alone will not stop quantum computers, but it can encourage faster preparation. Public pressure often pushes companies and governments towards safer technological choices faster. The more people understand this threat, the harder it becomes to ignore. Some experts believe the quantum cyber war will never have one dramatic climax. Instead, it may unfold gradually through years of quiet upgrades and silent attacks. Systems will be patched, breached, and patched again in an ongoing invisible cycle. This slow-motion conflict could stretch across decades rather than a single dramatic moment. Still, the stakes remain enormous, even without a single defining cinematic battle scene. Trust in digital systems underpins nearly every part of modern global civilization. If that trust collapses even briefly, the economic damage could be staggering. Markets depend on the assumption that transactions remain private, secure, and verifiable. Governments depend on the assumption that classified information stays properly protected forever. Individuals depend on the assumption that private messages remain truly private always. Quantum computing threatens every one of these deeply held digital assumptions simultaneously. This is why so many experts now call it an existential cybersecurity challenge. The coming quantum cyber war will not be fought with visible weapons at all. It will be fought with algorithms, qubits, and carefully engineered mathematical defenses instead. The winners will not be those with the most dramatic public displays. They will be the ones who quietly prepared before the crisis fully arrived. History suggests that societies rarely prepare adequately for threats they cannot immediately see. Quantum computing is testing whether humanity can break that troubling historical pattern. The next few years will likely determine how this invisible war unfolds. Every organization choosing to upgrade its encryption today gains crucial future protection. Every government funding post-quantum research strengthens the world's collective digital defense. Every delay, however small, increases the risk when Q-Day eventually arrives. The coming quantum cyber war is not a question of if, but when. The only real question left is whether the world will be ready. Right now, across hidden laboratories, that answer is still being quietly decided. Consider a global bank moving trillions of dollars through encrypted channels every single day. If those channels suddenly became readable, public trust in banking could collapse within hours. Consider a hospital storing millions of patient records behind standard modern encryption systems. A quantum breach there would not just leak data, but endanger real human lives. Consider a nation's military satellite network relying on encrypted commands for every single order. A single quantum decryption event could hand an enemy real-time battlefield awareness instantly. These are not hypothetical fears invented for dramatic effect or entertainment value. They are scenarios cybersecurity planners actively model when preparing national defense strategies today. Insurance companies have even begun pricing quantum risk into long-term corporate policies. This shows how seriously financial institutions now treat this once theoretical threat. Universities across the world have launched dedicated programs focused purely on quantum security research. Students who once studied traditional cryptography now train specifically for a quantum-resistant future. This shift in education reflects how urgently the industry views coming quantum challenges. Job postings for quantum security specialists have increased sharply over the past few years. Companies are willing to pay premium salaries for anyone who understands this narrow field. Talent shortages remain one of the biggest obstacles slowing global quantum readiness efforts. There simply are not enough experts trained to rebuild the world's encryption infrastructure quickly. This shortage gives attackers an unintended advantage since defenses are moving slower than threats. Some smaller nations lack the resources to even begin this expensive transition process. This creates a troubling gap between wealthy quantum-ready nations and everyone else. Cybersecurity experts warn that this gap could widen global inequality in dangerous new ways. Nations without strong quantum defenses may become easy targets for more advanced rivals. International organizations are now discussing frameworks to help smaller countries upgrade their systems. Cooperation on this scale is difficult, but many experts believe it remains essential. Corporations that operate across borders face an especially complex quantum transition challenge. They must satisfy different regulations while protecting data flowing through many separate countries. Some companies have started running parallel encryption systems as a cautious transitional strategy. They use traditional encryption alongside experimental post-quantum methods for extra protection. This layered approach adds cost and complexity but significantly reduces long-term risk. Security researchers continue stress testing these new quantum-resistant algorithms for hidden weaknesses. Even mathematically strong systems can contain implementation flaws that attackers might exploit. This is why constant testing remains just as important as the algorithms themselves. No single breakthrough will make any system permanently and completely unhackable forever. Security experts stress that quantum readiness is a continuous process, not a final destination. Threats will keep evolving alongside the very technology designed to stop them. This mindset shift is perhaps the most important lesson from the quantum era. Organizations must treat cybersecurity as an ongoing commitment rather than a one-time fix. Governments must fund research continuously rather than treating quantum security as fully solved. Individuals must stay informed since digital threats will keep changing over time. Journalists covering technology now face growing pressure to explain these complex quantum risks clearly. Simplifying such advanced science without losing its urgency remains a genuine communication challenge. Documentaries, books, and articles are slowly helping the public understand what quantum computing means. This growing awareness could eventually translate into stronger public demand for better security. History shows that public pressure often accelerates corporate and government technological change significantly. The quantum cyber war may ultimately be decided as much by awareness as algorithms. People who understand the stakes are more likely to demand meaningful protective action. Silence and confusion, on the other hand, only benefit those hoping to exploit delay. This is why stories like this one matter far more than they might seem. Understanding a threat is always the necessary first step toward defeating it. The coming quantum cyber war will test governments, companies, and everyday individuals alike. It will reward those who prepared early and punish those who waited too long. No one can predict the exact day this silent conflict becomes fully visible, but everyone can choose how ready they will be when that day arrives.